Devin Carter is a straight up dog.
Said it, I'm golden. Told you I'm shining. Had to break through. Plan perfect timing. Giving no.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to my 5-part series where I'm ranking the top 5 draft picks that the Miami Heat should target at number 15 in the NBA draft this year. Make sure to like the video and subscribe because I'm on the grind to 5K subs before the start of next basketball season, and I greatly appreciate it. Dude, you're wasting your time. We're trading the pick for Spider. Oh, don't get your hopes up. Remember what happened with Dame? Dude, both of y'all got to get out of here. These people got a video to watch. So with all these prospects, I'll kind of give you guys a scouting report first, so you can become familiar with their game, and then along the way, we'll talk about how that fits in with the Miami Heat system. So at number 5, I do have Devin Carter out of Providence. Well, actually, he went to 2 schools, I believe. His freshman year, he was out of South Carolina. Then he played 2 years at Providence. Now, the first interesting thing I learned about Devin Carter is his dad is actually Anthony Carter, who has been an assistant coach on the Heat staff for a few years now. Now, 2 things come to mind when I hear that. 1, it could be a good thing because Anthony could be like, hey, Anthony. It always sounds weird when you say your name, right? You guys ever do that? Anthony. Anyways, Anthony, as in Anthony Carter, he could tell the Heat executives in front office, hey, trust me, my son is good. I know him better than anyone, better than any GM ever could. He's got that dog in him. He's the guy we want on our team. Or maybe there could be a little bit of nepotism, and obviously Anthony Carter might try to hype up his son so he can get drafted to his organization and stay home over here because he did grow up in Miami, I believe, about Devin Carter. But I don't think Anthony Carter or the Heat would do nepotism. I don't even know how much pull Anthony Carter has, but it's just a thought, right? Now, I went ahead and looked at 5 different websites to see where they had him ranked in their mock draft. Of course, the Heat pick at 15. The websites that I looked at was NBADraft.net, USA Today, Bleacher Report, The Ringer, which is led by that bum Bill Simmons, and then also CBS. So across those websites, he was at 24, 15, 18, 13, and 22. So obviously his range, according to this, is from 13 to 24. Now, with a lot of these picks, you will have a lot of variance on where they are in mocks. That's just because it's obviously such an unknown draft. There's not really any set order. Even the number 1 pick has some discrepancy. There was some reports today saying Donovan Clingan might go 1, which is crazy. Anyways, at 1 year at South Carolina and then 2 at Providence, as I said earlier, his senior season, he played 35 minutes a night in which he averaged 20 points. Is that right? 20 points? Did he really average 20 points? Because trust me, we going to get into his jump shot, and it is not that pretty. Now, he's a little bit of a bucket, don't get me wrong, but 20 points sounds like a lot. Wow, he did. See, this is the thing, though. I guess I should say this about my list, is I think I'm set on these being the 5 guys I'm most interested in, but really the list could change, like the order of the list could change on any given day, because this guy I thought had some scoring concerns, but I mean, 20 points is 20 points. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, he averaged 20 points, but to me, the most impressive part, which is a huge reason to have him on this list, is he averaged 9 boards a game. We're going to get into his measurables, but he's a guard. He's 6'3", and for guys who average 9 boards a game is just awesome. He also averaged about 4 assists, and he did shoot 47% field goals. So overall, I know I kind of alluded to his scoring not being his super strong suit, but 47% his senior season is decent numbers for a guard, and he did shoot 38% from 3 on 7 attempts as a senior, right? So you might be hearing me say, this guy sounds awesome, right? 20 points, 9 rebounds from the guard position, high volume, efficient 3-point shooter. What's the catch? Well, his 2 seasons prior to his senior season were terrible shooting the ball. He was under 30% in both of those seasons, but it was only on 2 attempts and 3.5 attempts respectively. So he had a monster jump. He literally doubled his 3-point attempts from 3.5 to 7 his junior season, and he was more efficient. Usually when guys take more threes, they become way less efficient. It was the opposite for him. The concern obviously is it a fluke? Is that senior season shooting a fluke? I don't know. Sounds like a big enough sample size, but still, usually with these college guys, I was going to say usually you want to see a repetitive pattern over years to know for sure, but most of these guys go one and done, so not even, This is me kind of talking myself into maybe moving Devin Carter up, but either way, whoever the Heat draft, I'll be able to talk myself into it. I even dropped the Zach Edey video a few days ago saying I'm coping was in the title because God forbid they take Zach Edey. I don't want that slow guy, but if they do, I'll talk myself into it. But anyways, I do like Devin Carter. Took almost 5 free throw attempts per game, and he was 75% on the season. So average, right? Not too mad at that. Career 72% free throw shooter. So average there. You wish your guards would be a little bit greater, but obviously we talked about him not being a great shooter. That kind of does transfer to the free throw line there. Now, across all the websites, I found a couple of player comparisons. Now, the first one is Derek White, who for obvious reasons haunts me in my nightmares to this day. Now, that game 6 layup that he hit last year at the buzzer, if the Heat would have lost that series, I would still be getting no sleep. But since the Heat obviously won, they bust that Celtics ass in game 7, I'm able to sleep well. It's this season where Derek White shot like 95% from 3 that haunts me. But anyways, I first saw this comparison for Devin Carter, and I was like, yo, don't got to read the rest. If he plays like Derek White, I want him on my team. And I also saw another NBA player comp, which was Bruce Brown. Obviously, I think Bruce Brown would be a great fit on this team. But we'll go to learn. He's not exactly like those two guys. At least the shooting is not quite what those guys are. Now, he's a little bit of an older player. He turned 22 in March, and he's a little bit over 6'2". These are all his official combine measurements, so no fluky stuff here. He's a little bit over 6'2", and he has a 6'9" wingspan. So should have started this video by saying he is an elite defender, and obviously having a 6'9" wingspan at his height is a huge reason for that. He's 193 pounds, so for a 6'3" guy, he's not super skinny. He's not Rob Dillingham coming in at like 175 or anything like that. But obviously, he is a smaller player. Absolutely phenomenal rebounder for his position. That is something that I'd love the Heat to have, because if they're going to play small and not have a lot of bigs and you're going to have Bam switch onto guards, it would sure help a hell of a lot to have a guard that could rebound like that, to have their own little Josh Hart. Tyler Hero is not a bad rebounder himself, but he's not going to get you 9 boards a game in college like Devin Carter did. So that is a huge plus for him. Obviously something that he could use. Now, he does play bigger than he is. That's a kind of a theme I've seen across my research, which in theory is good, right? But at the same time, I'm very tired of hearing that about Heat players. Oh, they're small, but they play bigger than they are. Like PJ Tucker, Hayward Highsmith. Yeah, those guys did play bigger than they are, but they're both 6'4". So what does that mean? They play 6'6"? Get some actual big men who are big, who can play as big as they are, so they don't have to play bigger than they are. That's kind of what I would really hope for on this team, but still a plus that Devin Carter can kind of size up than what he is now. I would also say he has a high floor, but a low ceiling. Obviously, he's a little bit older. 22 in the grand scheme of things is not old, so he still has a lot of room for improvement, but there's just not a lot of, I'd say a ton of upside, because he is a little bit smaller and the shot is a little bit janky. Here's a questionable shooting form. I actually had him at number 2 on my wish list at one point, but then I saw this video of him absolutely bricking atrocious shots, and for that reason almost alone I moved him down to 5, because that is a pretty, those are wild. He has a tendency to be a bit wild as well, but he does have a pretty great arc on his shot. I think that's one of the most important things when you're looking at shooting. So I do think that's a positive, as far as maybe once he does get an NBA shooting coach, that he could get a lot of help there, because we've seen that he do that with guys. Josh Richardson comes to mind. He was a poor shooter first half of his rookie year, got into the lab with the shooting coach, and has really been a pretty decent 3-point shooter ever since. Now, he's primarily a catch and shoot guy. 3 of his 4 threes attempts are assisted, but he has shown a little bit of an ability to pull up off the dribble and have some step back. So truthfully, after everything I've said so far, he kind of reminds me of Caleb Martin. A little bit short of Caleb Martin, because Caleb Martin, we know, can shoot some step backs, can do some off the dribble stuff, but a lot of his threes are catch and shoot. We know he likes that corner. We know he likes that the toe on the line 3, right? And when he does miss, sometimes they're pretty wild. And that part does remind me of Devin Carter. What else we got here? So he's likely not a primary ball handler. Kind of suck to take a guard at 15 and he's not a primary ball handler, because I think that he could use those off the bench. They don't really have a primary handler as it is, right? They say Terry Rozier could be a 2, Tyler Hero could be a 2, so he wouldn't really fill that point guard role. But he is a physical finisher in the paint, again, playing up to his size. I wish, I don't think Tyler Hero is great in the paint. Terry Rozier is more finesse, so it would be nice to kind of get more of a bulldog that could body some of the bigs. And again, I just like that he can play up. But he does have a nice layup package as well and can finish above the rim. This is an athletic guy. A lot of times the Heat draft these guys aren't super athletic. You know, Nikola Jovic could run, not much of a jumper. Tyler Hero, I mean, he could dunk, but again, I'm talking athletes. There's levels to this. And Devin Carter is an absolute athlete. Sometimes plays a little bit out of control, a little bit wild in transition, but you'd think if he was to come to the Heat, obviously coaching and all that stuff would help. It's very difficult for guards that are rookies to play well. That's sort of the position that takes the most time to learn. And obviously, I don't think he'd have the ball in his hands as much here. So I do think a lot of his turnover concerns could be mitigated. He's not a great passer, though. You're not really looking at him to facilitate. Again, that goes back to the whole, he's not a point guard thing. But he showed the ability to drive and kick. We know that's a big part of really the Heat's offense, but NBA offenses in general. The Heat should ideally have some spacers in the corner, you'd hope. Maybe Bam next year. You would still have Duncan Robinson. Maybe they bring Hayward Highsmith back. So I do like the idea of a guy that could drive and kick. But his bread and butter is his defense. He is a phenomenal on-ball defender, a great screen navigator. He can block drives, he can block threes, and because he can guard up, he can guard wings, and he could guard guards, and that's what I like to see, especially if you're the Miami Heat and you're losing Hayward Highsmith potentially, who's a free agent, Caleb Martin, who can opt out of his player option. You can lose these guys. You don't have a lot of point of attack defense as it is. And Devin Carter would bring that and be able to do that skill immediately. So if they're in the Eastern Conference playoffs, they got to guard Dame. They got to guard Jalen Brunson. They got to guard Tyrese Maxey. Devin Carter is a guy that you could kind of throw at there, kind of like they did with Gabe Vincent. I do think even Victor Oladipo. So the Heat have lost a lot of their perimeter defense over the years. I think Devin Carter would help that a lot. So overall, I think this guy screams Heat culture. He's an absolute just physical dog. That's, I guess, is the definition of Heat culture. But I think the Heat's biggest issues is size and scoring, really, especially off the bench. Obviously, all this stuff could change depending on if they trade guys, they get Donovan Mitchell, send out Tyler, who knows. But as of right now, I think there's some better pieces in the draft that just fit better than Devin Carter. But let me know what you guys think. At the very least, I think he's a guy that would fit in this theme well, right? And it would be cool to kind of have him and his dad on the team as well. So yeah, y'all let me know if y'all like Devin Carter down in the draft. If not, tell me who else you might like. You may see them in a future part of this video. Make sure y'all subscribe and stay tuned because number 4, I won't tell y'all who it is, it's a surprise, but number 4 will be dropping tomorrow. So I'll see y'all then. Make sure y'all subscribe. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.